The movie features Luke and his droids along with Princess Leia visiting the home of my ex-wife to rescue their friend Han Solo, eventually doing so, but he's a little disoriented and blind.
Who are you?
Someone who loves you.
George Lucas! After the rescue scene, loads of bad guys fall down into Miley Cyrus's vagina and the heroes soon escape. The Emperor and the rest of the Galactic Empire are constructing a second Death Star to destroy the Rebel Alliance once and for all, while the good guys prepare for battle, leading a strike team but failing, having incredible chase scenes through the set of Blair Witch and succeeding, and Luke finally revealing a secret to Leia.
My father has it. I have it. My sister has it. It's you, Leia.
I know. Somehow. I've always known. I've always known. I've always known. I've always known. I've always known.
You dirty bitch. Much like its predecessor, Lucas self-funded Return of the Jedi and again opted to not direct, quickly searching for someone, soon approaching David Lynch for his work on The Elephant Man, but he turned him down. David Cronenberg was then contacted, but he also rejected the offer before Lucas finally settled on Richard Marquand. Despite not being the primary director, Lucas did confess to being a frequent B-camera operator on set, as Marquand wasn't experienced in special effects, but in regards to the director, he did call him a very nice person who worked well with the actors. You should try it, George. Co-writer Lawrence Kasdan had originally told Lucas that Return of the Jedi was a really weak title, so it was later changed to Revenge.
Revenge!
It didn't last long, as we'll get onto, but it was later used for another film of the series instead. The question if Harrison Ford was going to return or not was still present during pre-production due to the success of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Producer Howard Kazanjian claimed, "I played a very important part in bringing Harrison Ford back for Return of the Jedi." Harrison, unlike Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, signed only a 2-picture contract, which is why he was frozen in carbonite in The Empire Strikes Back. When I suggested to George we should bring him back, I distinctly remember him saying that Harrison would never return. I had just recently negotiated his deal for Raiders of the Lost Ark with Phil Gersh of the Gersh Agency. I called Phil, who said he would speak to Harrison for me. When I called back again, Phil was on vacation. David, his son, took the call and we negotiated Harrison's deal. When Phil returned to the office several weeks later, he called me back and said I had taken advantage of his son during the negotiations. I had not, but agents are agents.
My mistake.
Harrison Ford even wanted his character to be killed through self-sacrifice, which the writers agreed with, saying it should happen right at the start of the film to doubt whether or not the others would actually make it out alive, but George Lucas is always heavily against good ideas and rejected it completely. He literally said he wanted a happier ending just to encourage higher merchandise sales. Yoda originally wasn't going to be in the film at all, which would have made no sense, and Obi-Wan Kenobi was almost even brought back to life using the Force. Return of the Jedi was released on May the 25th, 1983, exactly 6 years to the day of the first movie, originally teased as Revenge of the Jedi.
Revenge!
Until Lucas decided that a Jedi should not be seeking revenge at all and quickly changed it back. I like how the guy who supposedly created this entire saga and characters didn't realise what a Jedi was all about until the movie was being fucking released.
You're gravely mistaken.
Now, I'll say that it continues the excitement from the very beginning, and I can really sense the closeness of the characters in this one. I really feel like we've joined them along this epic journey and that they're a real family by this point. Sometimes literally, but we'll get onto that in a second.
Oh dear.
Mark Hamill really comes out of his shell here. He was great in Empire, but he surpassed his own performance and became such a badass and a really iconic character. At this point, we've really grown to love and sympathise with him. He's had such an emotional roller coaster, so when he fights his father again, it's so different to the first time because the circumstances have dramatically changed. The confrontation does kind of drag a bit though. I'm sorry, I just feel like it takes a little while to... Oh yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh, yeah. Wow, I'm not even exaggerating here. In Empire, sure, the fight was epic and so climactic, but here, knowing he's his father, knowing he murdered his mentor Obi-Wan Kenobi, knowing he's tried killing his friends, knowing he's trying to turn him to the dark side, and then he even brings his sister into the mix, the emotional flip out is astounding. You really feel the sense of emotion coming from Luke, and Mark Hamill nails it perfectly. This is honestly the best fight sequence so far, the best climax so far, and it's 100% perfect. Well, it was in the original release. Until Lucas went back and made some re-edits. Oh, of course he did. And he dubbed this in. No! You had a great scene there that didn't make the audience burst out laughing. You just couldn't let it slide, could you? Darth saves his son and kills the Emperor, which is a great moment, but that dub was just so unnecessary and it kinda kills the momentum of the scene with unintentional humour.
Come on, let's keep a little optimism.
The touching moment where Luke unmasks his father is also really emotional, and the whole party at the end feels earned. It feels like all three movies finally culminated here, and it's really well deserved. It did seem at one point like the third act was dragging a bit, but it soon picked right back up and delivered the greatest third act yet, just for that one saber fight. It does have problems, but much more enjoyable and a much more solid script, really investing its time on the audience growing to care for these characters dearly.
He agrees.
But does this actually say fuck you? Sure sounds like it. And this one sounds like he just said he caught him wanking. You crafty bastard, Lucas.
I know that you are powerful, mighty Jabba, and that your anger with Solo must be equally powerful.
Which is exactly why I sent these two pathetic droids ahead of me to try to stop you. I mean, I know R2-D2's a badass, but C-3PO's a bit of a pussy, what the hell?
Luke's crazy. He can't even take care of himself, much less rescue anybody.
What? Fuck you! How many times has he saved your asses? Hell, in the first movie, he destroys the fucking Death Star, you arsehole, and you got your ass kidnapped how many times? I'd just like to point out here that Jabba the Hutt, whose special effects, by the way, have vastly improved since the first movie, which is weird considering all the redone CGI and all three films were done at the exact same fucking time, Jabba the Hutt actually has Princess Leia on his crotch. I mean, I don't blame him, I'm just saying. And now, for one of the dumbest moments in movie history. There is no words for how truly moronic this is. Honestly, there should be an award ceremony for this. So much stupidity in one tiny piece of dialogue. It's quite extraordinary. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the clip.
You told me Vader betrayed and murdered my father.
Your father was seduced by the dark side of the Force. He ceased to be Anakin Skywalker and became Darth Vader. When that happened, the good man who was your father was destroyed. So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
And there we have it. The very moment George Lucas lost all credibility as a writer. I say George Lucas because he's the only one on earth who'd be stupid enough to write something like that. And even if he didn't, somebody else wrote it and he allowed it to be put in the film, so I'm going to blame him anyway.
Don't be so sure.
Okay, so yeah, it's clearly a plot hole that Obi-Wan never told Luke that Darth Vader was his dad. I get that, but this is the thing. You don't need to call attention to your own plot hole, Lucas. This isn't even like it's a fourth wall, self-aware jab at its own stupid logic. This is a serious sequence. I mean, there's other bullshit you don't acknowledge. I'll get to that in a second. But if you're happy to ignore and refuse to even mention that shit, why do you need to bring this one up? What you're ultimately saying is, nuh-uh. I said Darth Vader killed your dad. Technically, I'm right. Technically, I didn't lie. So there's a sequence where the heroes get kidnapped by some Ewoks and they're all tied up, but apparently they believe C-3PO is a god of some kind and worship him. But for some reason, he doesn't tell them to let his friends go until Leia tells him to. That actually worked. Something a 6-year-old would try. And it worked on a stormtrooper.
He's my brother.
But didn't you make out with him? Yeah, it's a big turn on when we share a chromosome. To be fair, Han Solo kind of redeems any douchebag moments he's ever had by assuming Luke and Leia are an item before he finds out their relations and offers to step to one side so that she can be happy. That's a really nice and sweet sentiment, so he's really evolved over the 3 films and I like that. But the problem is, Harrison Ford clearly gave no shits about this film whatsoever.
Second thought, let's pass on that, huh?
Despite how much of an arsehole his character may have been, he was always great in the role, but here, he's fucking awful! I mean, don't get me wrong, when he first appears as blind and really shaken up, his acting is tremendous. But after that, he was past caring and half-arsed everything. No, actually, he quarter-arsed it. Nope, screw that. He 1/100th arsed it.
I hope she's alright.
What did he say?
Come on, tell me, what's going on?
Well, why don't you use your divine influence and get us out of this?
The special effects have also dropped. You can tell they lowered the budget here. Some are decent, but for the most part, it's like a bad scene from Ants, not fucking Star Wars. The money would have been worth it, George, honestly, it would have been. But like A New Hope, all the redone CGI are also blatantly obvious and look horrendous. Apparently they were also done for The Empire Strikes Back, but not once did I ever notice any of them. None of them were bad or stood out, and they just looked like the original film. Here in the first one, they're so fake and blatant and ruin the whole look of the picture. This looks like a bad Final Fantasy he gay. Like I say, the action and characters outweigh the negatives, and the last act really saves the film and surpasses A New Hope. The second best of the original trilogy in my mind, and a damn good watch. But the series didn't end there.